Here's a quick intro. I'm Olia and I share real life stories from when I worked in the adult industry. Hit that like button if I look familiar. He used to appear at exactly 7 in the evening. The heavy sound of his body sinking into that massive leather chair had its own dull, predictable rhythm, like an old sofa in a living room when a tired father comes home. My shift was just starting. I was completely green back then, like a raw green apple that was picked too early, too tart, but already left on the edge of the table. There was one detail in his background that always caught my eye, not the heavy chair nor the dim light of his study somewhere across the ocean. It was his whiskey glass, or rather a giant Amazon box sitting in the corner of his room, filled with brand new whiskey glasses. He drank so heavily that his hands constantly lost their grip. The glasses would shatter on the floor, and the next day he'd just pull a new one out of that box. In my room, the silence was completely different, tight, fragile, where every object had its place because making a mistake was far too expensive. Steven was around 58 or 59. Whenever he joined my stream, the first thing he did was buy up all my time, just to kick every other man out of the room. He craved that illusion. She is mine, boom. But he didn't realize I wasn't his. I wasn't even my own. Behind my back, just out of the camera's frame, the studio managers were watching me. They saw he was dropping money, so they forced me to stay with him for hours, smiling, so listening to his slurred speech. Since childhood, I've despised drunk people. That smell, even filtered through a screen, that heavy look with the blurred words. It was a violent trigger from my past, from a family where alcohol consumed everything alive. And there I was, 19 years old, sitting in front of a monitor, forced to play the attentive listener for a drunk man who paid just not to feel alone. No, one evening he told me about his pickup truck, and it was the only topic that brought out a genuine, almost childish pain in him. When he had crashed it here, he was completely fine, but the truck was total trash. Can you believe it? He whispered, his voice cracking through the speakers. I cried. I sat on the curb and wept for that piece of metal. In that moment, something shifted inside me. A strange childlike wonder. A grown, wealthy man crying over a broken car like a child over a ruined toy. For a brief second, I felt sorry for him. I started treating him warmer, looking for something human inside him, but the illusion shattered quickly. His self-pity didn't make him kind. Then he kept locking me in private calls for 5 hours straight, completely wasted, draining my spirit, turning my nights into an endless psychological prison. That was when I realized the ultimate secret about human loneliness, something visitors of those websites never understand about themselves. They truly believe that money can buy love, attention, or at least presence. They purchase someone's time, but they never look into the eyes of the person they bought. Because if Steven had looked into my eyes just once, he wouldn't have seen tenderness. He would have seen a cold, impenetrable wall and utter exhaustion. The end was as absurd as the whole relationship. His bank card got blocked. He logged in one last time, hammered as usual, but this time he couldn't afford to kick the others out. The money was gone. He used his last few cents to pull me into a quick private call and started screaming at me. He lashed out as if I were to blame for his frozen card, his wrecked pickup, his broken glasses, and the utter wreck his life had become. He was so drunk he couldn't hear me, but honestly, I don't think he had heard himself in years. I was so happy to tell him off, to finally cut the stream and close my laptop. Eventually, I left the studio and started working for myself. The money dropped significantly, but my peace of mind returned. I no longer had to endure drunken rants or fake empathy. That green apple I was at the beginning, it didn't rot, nor did it ripen into something sweet. It just developed a tough, resilient skin, scarred by the gazes of strangers who looked but never really saw anything. And now, when I recall that cardboard Amazon box full of cheap glasses, I realize some people buy things in bulk simply because they know they are destined to break everything they touch.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Truly, if this touched your heart, stay with me, subscripts, and I'll see you in the next story. Bye.